Hello again and welcome to LTP, Learn to Paint with Mike. That is to say, Mike is learning to paint and you're here with me. I'm your host, Mike, if you couldn't tell. My previous video was about the construction of these blight wasps, and I wanted to leave these out for just one moment, partly to apologize for the quality of that last video. I had some minor technical issues, but see these bases, flight bases. Here's my Nerf from the box, from the starter box, battle box, whatever you want to call him. And you can see that I've already glued on the base, so it's not going to be clear. And I'm not sure that I care too much about that. I think I'll probably end up just painting this black anyway. And painting these black as well. I kind of like the look of the black as opposed to the look of the clear. So today I'm going to put these wasps aside for a moment, and what we're going to be doing today is starting to put some color onto my battle box. So I have my Warcaster Krissa here, and we have our bolt thrower, and he's still got some purple under here. I didn't prime that terribly well, but I think we'll be all right. And then here's my Nerf, also from the battle box. Okay, and I've already painted up my shredders. I'm gonna pull those out so you can take a look at them. Possibly, if I can find them. So I already had a couple of shredders already painted from the previous edition. And here they are from the Battle Box, Mark II Battle Box. And this is a pretty good representation. So I'm not going to worry about painting the shredders from the Battle Box because I already have painted shredders. But I am going to start doing prep work today to get these other three models ready for play. I've discovered that I really dislike playing with unpainted models. So let me put these off to the side here for a moment while I open up my wet palette. So that's what this this blue lid here is. This is just the lid to my wet palette. And underneath here you can see I've got some paint on here. I didn't use a lot of paint, but we did have a painting day at the beginning of our Journeyman League. And so these paints are kind of here from that day. And so today I'm just gonna do some baseline washes, and we'll go from there. Okay, now what I'm going to start with is a burnt umber color. You can see that my previous amount has kind of liquefied a little bit, so I'm going to add a little bit more to my palette. Now, as you can see, I don't use fancy paints. This is like the dollar paint from Hobby Lobby or Michael's or whatever your local hobby place is. So far, I've only been using the cheap paint. I've never used expensive paints, and so I can't give you a good idea as to whether it is a good idea. I'm going to kind of bring up this wetter stuff to mix with my drier stuff. And I think I'm going to try and modify my camera angle. Okay, I kind of like that angle a little bit better. Kind of see my paints here, and that is really wet. Okay, I wouldn't want there to be this much moisture if I was to be doing a base coat, but since I'm primarily doing a wash, a first wash, because it's kind of hard for me to see the details on these. And so in order for me to see what I want to be painting, I'm going to start with a dark umber. And I'm doing the dark umber because we have this desert theme, right? And so I don't want all the shadows to be a cool color like a blue or a purple. I want my darkest colors to end up being a warmer or a brown color. Okay? And here I am, I've just stuck, here, let me just show you. I've just stuck Krissa onto this pill bottle, this old pill bottle with sticky tack or poster tack or whatever you want to call it. That way I can hold on to this and my fingers don't get tired. Okay? And so I'm just going to start here, load up my brush, and just start sticking it on. And so now you can see that the details are starting to kind of come out there. So I'm just gonna paint this really thin paint on here. And the whole point of it, of this first wash, is to just get everything down into the cracks. And I don't think I like this brush. I'm going to go for a brush that has a little more thickness to it. I'm going to load it up and get some more water. I also down here have some matte, oh, what is it called? Wow. Well, that's kind of embarrassing. Here I am making a video, and I forget the name of the stinking product I'm using. So anyway, I'm mostly just using water and this paint, and just really slapping it on. And that way, it gets all into all the dark recesses, and you can see all of the details in this model pop right up. Now in my previous video where we were priming, or not priming, where we were assembling the blight wasps, talked about the mold lines. And this step right here, I would be able to see right where the mold lines are. That the detail of this model, not only would it show all these cool little armor bits, but you'd see this nasty line, you know, coming down the front part of the thing here, the leg. But so far, I'm not seeing any really bad mold lines that I missed, which I'm very happy about. It's not uncommon for me to get to this step and then just notice that I've missed a huge mold line, like right across the face or something, and that's fairly embarrassing and kind of a pain because, you know, I spent all that time priming, and here I am set up ready to paint, and it turns out that I missed. So I end up there just typically I will finish this first wash and then I'll go back and just scrape off the mold lines, do another cleaning on the mold lines that appear. Now on one hand I'm hoping that I see one here so that I can show you what I'm talking about. On the other hand, I don't want to have to go back and do more work in the assembly stage on this model. So yeah, now you can see all of those gorgeous feathers that she's got on her cloak. All that detail really just pops right out. There we go. We'll do the hand, the rest of these feathers. I haven't yet decided what to do with these feathers. On my previous warlocks, like Vale and Absalonia 1, they've just got a little bit of a trim on their capes. And on those ones I chose to do a white feather, actually. Okay, now I do have some extra wash kind of pooling where I don't like it. So I'm taking my brush, which is somewhat dry, and just kind of pulling it out of these dark recesses that I don't necessarily want there to be so much darkness in there. There. I think that looks good to start with on Krissa. I'm going to show you what I mean with my other models. So this is what I'm talking about on Vale. You can see she just kind of got this outer edge and this little ruff on the bottom that I've decided to leave white. Same thing here with Absalonia 1. Left just enough highlight in there so that you can tell that they're feathers. Or sorry, enough of a wash for you to tell that they're feathers. But I think a big white cloak, you know, white feathers all over, I kind of don't want that. It seems to me that I want to have a more camouflaged look. So I'm thinking of doing like a black dark raven color as opposed to a white color. But we'll just see how everything turns out. Now I'm going to just move right on to my Nephilim bolt thrower. Again, just using a really thin watery paint as a wash. And I'm just dabbing it in here, making sure that every surface gets a liberal soak, a liberal wash. Make sure that that's in the screen there. Ha! Matte medium. I knew I'd remember it. So down here I have some matte medium. It's essentially just an acrylic base that doesn't have any pigments added, but still allows the pigments and the acrylic in your paints to bond easily. I don't like to use pure water because then the pigments inside the paint ends up being a little bit too much for the pigments to overcome, and so I end up with kind of a weak paint bond to my model. Oh, there we go. Pull out all that lovely detail. Somebody went to a lot of trouble sculpting this, so I want to make sure to bring out all of that hard work. Plus, I think, like I said earlier, it saves me a lot of time if I allow the sculptor to do all the work and I just kind of bring out the sculptor's work. It makes me appear to be a better painter. wash here. I just kind of noticed it wasn't going into the crevices quite as well as I wanted. Here we are, just applying it liberally. Really thin. This would be far too thin a wash if I were to try and actually paint, if I wanted to paint this the color brown. So much of the underlayer would just show right through. It would take many, many, many layers. And I think by then all the crevices would just be full of paint and you'd just have a big ugly blob. No detail left. Now I understand that there are products on the market created by model painting companies that are just cold washes and they're already thin and ready to go on. But just like I haven't branched out into expensive paints from these manufacturers, I also haven't branched out into their wash products or their inks. The inks that I use are actually just calligraphy inks from my previous hobby interests. And here we go, just applying it over every surface. Just lovely. Right into the cracks in the armor. And now that I'm looking at it at this angle, it appears I missed some on his chest in here. So I'm going to get in there. Can't go around with a purple chest if the rest of you is brown. Alright. Get underneath here. Bring out the detail in this blade. There's still some down here. I am a little bit worried about this bottom side here. Again, as I showed you at the start of this video, I didn't get a good priming spray on the underside angle. Got the top very well, and all the sides very well, but for whatever reason I missed the bottom. So I'm a little bit concerned that maybe the paint won't stick as well, that the model surface won't have as much tooth. One of these days I'll learn how to paint in such a manner that you can consistently see what's going on. I just realized that I'm off camera again. Here we go. Just gonna look over every surface. Make sure that I've got a good coat on everything. Now it's not uncommon for me to find at least one surface that didn't get a good layer. But there. Now we have started our Nephilim bolt thrower. And then here's my beauty. Gorgeous Nephilim. No, this isn't the Nephilim. This is the Nerif. I'm just bringing some more of this paint up. Scoop in some more of this matte medium. And then dilute it with some water. Okay, now just like with Krissa and my bolt thrower, I'm going to start slapping this stuff on. We'll start here. Just like that. Now suddenly it's not just a boring white wing. It has texture and detail. See, gorgeous. I got a little bit of pooling going on here I don't necessarily want. So again, I'm taking my brush, making sure that it's light on paint, and that is my son. Alright, now wash over this other wing, and ta-da! More details. Just come right to life. A little bit thinner mixture. There we go. Just brushing it right on, letting it go into the cracks. Now come back here along all these spines. Since I've already got it at this angle, I can hit his dorsal ridge, all these little lovely little scales. Get his scaly little leg in here. It's nice with this first stage, because the whole model is given the same treatment. It doesn't matter if I splatter on a different part of the model. If I accidentally get paint from here down onto the tail, it doesn't matter. Whereas if in the future I'm doing his teeth, doing his mouth with like a red color, and the only place on with this theme that is red is the mouth. If I were to get the red suddenly down onto the tail, which is all supposed to be a white color, then I have to go and fix it. This upside down. This is very easy because of the pill bottle that I'm using. Very easy for me to grip. And I don't have to worry about brushing my fingers up against the model, and it gives me a big surface area to hold on to. So I don't have to worry about possibly dropping the model. Spend all the time cleaning it and assembling it. The last thing I want to do is drop it and potentially break it. I find this process to be somewhat soothing. I can just mix my paint, get it nice and thin, and then just brush it on. Make sure I get right under the tail there. And then get this part of his belly. Ah, all those lovely scales. His ventral scales just pop right out. Ooh. It's coming a little bit loose. Oh, and I missed a little piece under this wing here. Just make sure we get it all covered. Make sure all those beautiful scales can be seen easily. I'm going to hit the underside here. Now it's interesting, under this tail, he's got, I keep saying he, but thematically I kind of like my flying dragons to be female. So I'm going to try and correct myself. I just like the idea of the flyers being female and the terrestrial bound dragons being male. I don't know why. It seems to me that all of the warcasters in the Everblight faction, they're all female except for Thagrosh, and all of the war beasts are created from the blood of their warlocks. So, if they've got a male dragon, his genetic material, his blighted essence, and also the genetic material of the female warlocks, that we can have some female beasties. So, back to the Nerif. She's almost ready to go. We've got the underside of this wing and the top side of this wing. All the lovely details, the stretching of the wings in between the bony bits. Maybe I should learn some of that anatomy so I can speak intelligently. But I think you probably know what I'm talking about. You got these long, jaggedy, bony bits, and then the fleshy skin. Not even really fleshy skin, just skin stretched like a bat in between. Make sure I didn't miss any surfaces. There. Now there's some pooling here that I want to get rid of. Just taking my brush and letting the capillary action of the brush bring out some of that extra pigment. Alright. Make sure we get this tail. It's one of her primary aspects, is this long, lovely tail. Which of course she uses to grab you and wrap you up, so then she can beat you with her face. Literally, this dragon has 2 attacks. Her big long tail, and then if she hits you with it, she then stabs you repeatedly with her face. Yeah, and that's a face that could be a weapon. Yeah, that's lovely. Okay, I think all I have left are these left side wings. Here we go. Mix up a little bit more paint here. Getting a little bit dry. Okay. There we go. Just washing it over. And that mixture still seems a little bit dry. There we go. Now it's flowing really well. So now there it goes. Alright, and it is pooling again in these little crevices, so I just want to pull that out just a little bit. There we are. And again, I'm not seeing any of those ugly mold lines. It looks like I cleaned this beast off pretty well too. A little bit of extra pooling back here, but not bad. Okay, I think we have just one more wing to do. Nice and thin. Yeah, looks really good. This beautiful detail. There, not too much. Not too much pooling, except on the other wing. Oh my goodness! I'm gonna try a different spot on my sticky tack so it doesn't fall. That was pretty close. Alright, now we'll get right back into the back here. Open this up. And there. Get the edges here. Edge of that wing. And just a couple last little spots back in here. Make sure they're all covered. Even though you may not ever see them when you're on the table, you still want to get the best results out of it. Okay, I'll do one last survey. Tops and bottoms of every wing. Ooh, I am seeing some pooling down here that I don't really like, so I'm actually just going to kind of re-wet it a little bit because it is dry. And then kind of remove some of this extra paint. Now a better painter could probably work with that. But as we all know, I'm still learning to paint. Alright. Oh, here's one little bit. Can't leave your arms unpainted, darling. That would be no good. Okay. There, I like it. Well, thank you for joining me today in my Learning to Paint series. I will follow up with another video where we take the next steps, starting to put on some base coats, and maybe I'll just concentrate on one model at that point. Because this is so quick and easy, I like to just get it all done all at once. If you like this video, please like the video. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.